Well, time to start. Ask everyone to stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
of the United States of America, and
for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In review of the minutes last meeting, I guess Glenn had some spelling corrections, is that correct?
Yeah, she made 3 of them.
Ruben?
Misspelled somebody's name. I said Horst instead of horses. And I forget what the third one was.
Adding to that sentence later.
Oh, yeah. Making more clear Slater's comment that the trap was not functional.
Glenn, thank you for not speed reading.
You're welcome.
I move approval of the minutes.
With the corrections. Any second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
None?
Aye.
Twisted?
Aye.
Aye. Cliff?
aye.
Okay, we'll have agency updates, start with Forest Service.
Either one of us, so Jeff Marzal was in Washington DC at the time or right now, and so on the Playa District, the update we gave last time was we're working on our North Slope projects, that's still largely what we have going on. In addition to that, a lot of permittees that are affected by the 2024 fires, we've received some money, but not enough to get all the fence done and stuff, but we're working on some contracts, we have a contractor out at Rager right now, working on fence, still with the weather allowing and whatnot. And we got another, I think about $3.1 million that we're gonna be awarded to another contractor. They need a couple contracts to get more fences done, so we can burn these back out there, hopefully by 2027. There's some other permittees that are working on their own, making some fixes and stuff, so we can get out there sooner, but for the most part, that and our temporary fire hiring, we're in the heat of that right now, so we are not able to hire 1039 or no summer seasonals, but we are allowed to hire the fire seasonals, and that hiring is going on right now. So anyway, that's about all I have. Unless there's any questions. Yeah,
So you're not allowed to hire any timber folks,
nope. Not allowed to
even
hire.
though we're trying to do fuel reduction?
Yeah.
So what was the reasoning behind that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
So, the current direction is that we are 2,000 employees over what we can afford in the budget. If they are gonna go forward and hire any 1039 seasonals, which there's talk of, which is getting there than we normally would and stuff, it would be for recreation folks only. And, the reason rationale for that is because there's so many places that don't have recreation folks to keep up with the bathrooms, the cleaning, keeping their doors open and all that to the public, and one of the administration's big priorities is being, open to the public. So if we do hire anybody, the only direction I've heard so far is that it'll be for recreation. But when we look at, it's a great question, because when you look at, like, we are missing 2 silviculturists on the forest. We have no district silviculturists, but yet our timber targets increasing, so we're,
Well,
I think our marking crew is 3
that's for
people.
now.
Normally, we would have a dozen if we could in the summer marking timber. We've been working with ODF through the labor agreement, and they've been helping us get that work done, as well as folks are coming from the Deschutes to help us mark our timber. But, that's a great question. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I think Slater's here. You can speak on this.
He just told a little bit about, thought I was gonna make some fire hire. That's okay. But for Lookout Mountain, it's still the same thing in grassland. We are still plugging away on our planning projects. We're almost ready to advertise. And sell, one of the sales that came out of Mill Creek. It'll be coming up later on this month for sale. And just to dig a little deeper in what Roger was talking about in terms of fire hire, this is the second day of the fire hire. We at what they call the GS4 level, and we're dealing with it's called conflict, right? So we have 10 positions that are in conflict with other forests across the region. So we're hopeful that we can come out of that conflict and get some fire folks, but we don't know. So Robbie's absolutely right. We are doing the best we can with what we have. So we're really, hopeful that we can get some additional, stuff. So, in terms of range, we are, there's a lot of, because of the fires we had, and mostly, well, in the mountains and on the grasslands, the permittees that was affected by the fire, they have, so thus far, except for one, have elected to take non-use. And the one that's still contemplating whether he can do that or not is on the grassland, so in and around the flat fire. So we're working through that and so I think there's nothing else that's changed for whatever. So yeah, we're still status quo unless there's questions.
Slater, lately I've been driving by the grasslands, seems like quite a bit. And I know you guys had the big pile burning under the power lines up high.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the highway, the Grizzly side, you guys did a juniper cut, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably had 5 time flies.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any monitoring data on that? Cause I've just been impressed with how the grass and stuff has really come back in that particular cut.
No, we haven't had any monitoring on that. Thank you for bringing that up, because, but what we did do, where we did the burning, where we had bare soil, we did go out and reseed that, the piles. So that's probably in other areas where it was burned and, or the vegetation was lowered to reduce the competition, that did help the grasses, give them a bump. But there is some there, and again, thank you for bringing this up. We are, we're looking to burn on the grasslands, so jackpot burning, but we're waiting on moisture to do it. Imagine that in January. So we're looking to do some of that, and that'll be, starting out, it'll be about 70 acres in and around Skull Hollow. But, and we also, from a Crook County standpoint, we're looking for the right opportunity to take advantage of one of the units in Mackay to burn. So I say that because if we burn that, it's gonna have an impact on private. We're gonna try to do it when the smoke can disperse. But as you well know, living here in Prineville, when the sun goes down, and so that smoke comes into Prineville. And this is to help reduce the longevity of smoke hanging out in Prineville for the summer.
We'll just blame it on the biomass project.
Okay, well, I just want to give you a heads up, that's all. So unless there's questions.
Thank you, Slater.
Looks like it sure made the brush grow where they did all that cutting 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah, the stuff that Slater, I appreciate you guys maybe doing a little seeding in the actual burn area. But what I'm seeing is across that whole hillside, the size, I don't know if it got grazed this last year. I don't remember cows being in there, but just the size, expression of the bunch grasses that have come. There's some basin wild rye coming in some of the swales. It just seems to have really taken off in the last 2 years. And for some reason, it's 60 miles an hour. I've been noticing it. I don't drive any faster than that.
Well, thank you for saying that, but the strategy that I'm trying to employ on the grassland is trying to get cows out as early as we can. So when the cheatgrass and the Medusa head is starting to sprout, that's and so that in an effort to knock that cheatgrass and Medusa head back, so the bunch grasses and the other grasses that we want will have an opportunity to flourish more. So that's the theory. I heard that somewhere in some scientific fact that I got. But anyway. Thank you.
Okay, BLM, you're up.
Hello, everyone. Haven't seen your faces in a while. I probably won't get off as easily as these two did. Big news, probably you all know, the DOI fire reorg was officially implemented on Monday. What that means, nobody really knows right now in terms of actual substance, other than in terms of fighting fire on the ground, nothing's gonna change this year for DOI. And a little more background on that, while we don't have it here in Central Oregon, some areas, Park Service has fire staff. Or even has some fire staff in other places. All the DOI agencies, fire organizations are now combined in one. It's called the U.S. Wildland Fire Service. More information to come if and when Forest Service will ever join that, but not now. So we believe that as of this summer, it'll really maybe mean changes in email addresses and not much else. And so we have no concerns about fighting fire this year. Yeah, and other than that, I don't have a lot to report on that because we just don't know. Other fire things, because of this crazy weather, why aren't we sitting outside? BLM's completed all of our fuels burn targets for this year already. And that includes everything from Pine Buttes all the way clear over to the eastern edge of the district. And now we're scrambling to see if we can whip together some other burn plans quickly. Hard to say what will happen there. Other program things specific to here, the Deschutes office, they had a request for a special recreation permit over on Milliken Plateau in the OHV area. And they're processing that. It looks like it's the proposal is up to 3 2-hour tours each day, 10 people. I think everybody's pretty excited about that opportunity. Well, I won't say everybody, but folks are pretty excited about that opportunity to get people out there without their own OHVs to utilize the resource. I think that's a pretty big deal. The other thing is that, and you may have heard this already, because of the Lower Crooked Wild and Scenic River Plan, BLM is finally implementing requiring commercial social recreation permits on the Lower Crooked. And so that, as of right now, they're processing 4 outfitter guide permits on the Lower Crooked. And so that would be guided fly fishing. Strangely enough, the last few spring runoffs, we've actually had rafters going all the way down. So that's something to kind of, follow the plan, get a handle on what's going on, and then how can we facilitate better management of that process. Other things, we reported on the district-wide weed management environmental assessment. Nothing new really there other than it's progressing, still moving forward. We did initial scoping, we got like 7 comments. So pretty small, not a lot of interest yet. Virtual fencing. That it keeps coming up in different places, and the idea of targeted grazing, right? And being able to try to hit those annuals early. As anybody knows, those annuals are popping up, have been for the last month, and they will this week, will just make them go whoosh. So targeted grazing on those annuals to allow our perennials, our natives to have a better chance. So we could have 2 projects on the district this year that involve virtual fencing. We're working with NRCS, Soil and Water Conservation District, and others to try to figure out the funding piece of that. Lots of focus on timber, of course, not anywhere near the extent of the Forest Service, but BLM does have additional targets. And one of the areas that pops up for us is the BLM lands up around Big Summit. So when we get closer to that, that could be as early as start planning for that next year. So that'll probably be of interest to everyone here in that conversation. Hiring. We could hire some seasonal and not just fire. So we got authorization for 6. We normally have 20 to 24, but 6 is better than 0. And those will be scattered across the administrative priorities of timber and grazing primarily for us. Fire has their own, fire's charging ahead, but, supporting timber and grazing is our big thing. And then, the third one is of course, public access, which is recreation. And of course, BLM has lowered the shoot forward on Dagger River and all the upland here, especially on this side. So good news there. None of us still have a budget yet. We don't know how we're gonna pay for it, but by golly, we're gonna hire them to figure it out. We need to get to work done. The last thing I had on my list before I ask for questions, there's been a lot of conversation in a few circles and especially in our office. Probably a little late, but still appropriate of proposing a field trip on the South Fork Crooked. So as much as we can, it's pretty remote, we can all see what everyone is thinking and looking at out there. I know I received the comment with the pictures about the wild horse damage out there currently. And I think it just plays right into that. Can we set up, with this group, with the permittees, with ONDA? And I know, don't cringe, but that's the type of group that we're talking about to get out there and have this conversation. We still have grazings rested out there for 2 more years, but we still have things going on that I think it's worth folks talking about. That's my list. What do you have for me?
Mhm.
Yes.
I have a question regarding the virtual fencing.
Mhm.
How will you be setting that up? I know it's expensive.
So there is, and somebody, Tim, Tim's always got more information, but, there are avenues out there and that more and more we're seeing. I know my boss Amanda was recently at a presentation where NRCS was talking about funneling funds. The big expense is always the towers and the specifics of the towers. Can the operator move them around? Does it void the warranty? There's all these things that go with it. But it feels like there's enough use. I believe Ochco has 2.
Yeah, I think we just got money to purchase another one.
Yeah, okay. So there's enough data out there to really start to show where it works, where it doesn't. Now we can really start hammering on funds, right? Where does the money come from? BLM's not gonna be able to buy it. We've pretty much been told that. We're trying to work the avenue of, okay, if we're gonna do targeted grazing for restoration after fire, well, gosh, isn't that a funding avenue? Seems like a great one. And, we're working, it's outside the county, but over, the Black Rock fire on the John Day, right? It was total range fire. There's hardly even any juniper out there. And that annuals down there in the banana belt, the annuals are just, this tall. There's really not much in the way of fencing. If we can move fast with Vince and get out there, the permittee, the big landowner around there, 100% for it, excited about it. So we have an opportunity to jump out there, make that happen. We can make that happen, and we can make it happen in more places.
I think each one of the animals has to have a tag in the ear, right?
It's a collar.
It's a collar.
The collar, okay.
And it depends, right? From all the stuff I've seen and been involved with, depending on the age of your herd, right? If you've got cow-calf pairs and they're used to an area and, you have your lead cows that do things right, you can probably get away with not everyone. But if you're running 500 head of yearlings, you better collar everyone, right? So all those different things that come into play, every situation is different. If it's super broken country, right? Instead of 2, you may need 6 towers. Right? It's all dependent on every different scenario. Maybe someday it'll be satellite.
I
So-
thought I've seen some satellite. And they got a company that uses satellite.
There's, in the last 3 months, I've seen lots of ads from new companies
Yeah,
getting into this arena. So Vince, and I can't remember the other one,
Yeah.
were the first ones in, one's out of Australia, I think the other one's out of Europe. But now there's some new ones and,
yeah.
you know, some of the newer ones look like they'll work really good if you're here on the flats, but I don't think they'd work really well up in the forest where you have a lot of vegetation and or terrain. But the vent system, those kind of deals. The nice thing about the towers, you don't have to have 24/7 coverage between the collar and the tower. All the tower does is send the new map to the collar so that when the cow's outside, and then from then on, it's GPS, which is satellite. If the cow goes out of the area, it gets shocked or gets the beep or whatever. So you only need the signal when you want to make pasture changes. And, you know, if you are willing to give a 24-hour period for an animal to kind of cover elevations, sooner or later in that elevation, they may connect with the tower. But if you're looking for an immediate sort of response, that becomes a problem. So to Lynn's deal, remember at our last meeting, Lisa handed out some paperwork that through BLM's nonprofit foundation, there you can, a non-permittee, a governmental or an NGO, can apply for up to $200,000 for some virtual fencing work. Wesley, the guy that spoke on the Bear Creek, he sent me an email a couple of weeks ago, both to me and to the Burns Experiment Station, saying that they have a permittee on the Deschutes River that wants to do virtual fencing, but in that case, what they're looking for is a third party to kind of be a collaborator, researcher, verifier. And then that third party could apply for up to $200,000 to make that work. And it's a small number permit, but that's happening on the upper Deschutes. So
And when looking at our interpretation of our grazing rules, it's being interpreted as there's still requirement for physical fencing on allotment boundaries. It's when you start getting into whether it's targeted grazing or inside the different pastures in the allotment is where those come into play. And, you know, I'm just talking about $3.5 million for replacing fencing, and that's not even close to all of it. I think our estimated for all of our fires from 24 at market rate was 25 million. And it's just never gonna happen. Ever. And 25 million by an awful lot of towers and collars.
Kyle, with the horses, a year ago, you guys talked about, you flew to the Liggett herd, got a herd count. Any movement on the beginning of that updated EA process?
How can I phrase this and not get in trouble? There are 5 administrative priorities and horses is not one of them. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. However you wanna take that. Fortunately, grazing is, so there might be some avenue to deal with some of the challenges.
Okay, where's the priority about the trespass house?
That's probably in grazing.
So you guys are on that, cause I heard that they're actually going down through and getting on private property now, past there.
Yeah, and that's another weird thing. It's like, gosh, if they're going all the way through private, where, number one, where they come from, we know where they come from, you can bring it up. And once they're on private, is it the county issue then, right? How do we deal with it? I don't know. right?
It's open range on private, so
Yeah.
it becomes landowner and landowner.
Right, right. So yes, there's many things we can do. Again, that's why I would like to get out there. Again, it's remote. We can't just all hop in UTVs and go bobbing down there because it doesn't work that way. But I would love to have a conversation with maps and everything else. And just have a conversation.
Would the group be interested in a field visit out to Camp Creek? I'll help you set it up if you want help.
Okay, that's, anything else?
One more question about that fire organization.
Mhm.
Is that like a stovepipe organization and will be separate from land base?
Yes.
And so, and it's all the DOI organizations?
It's all the DOI for fire organizations. They have hired the fire chief, for lack of a better term, and that person is a LA County fire chief historically. That person reports directly to the Secretary of Interior structure.
Okay, how is that being received by the on the ground folks and?
You'll have to catch me at Wild Ride over a beer. I think we're all just wondering, officially and unofficially, we're all just looking forward to more information because we have that.
Yeah. And were, the field offices included in providing information towards the development of that organization?
No.
Okay. All right, well, that answers a lot. Thank you, Kyle.
So Kyle, related to that, one of the things I heard the other day, maybe it was late last week before it got officially announced, but was one of the concerns from a funding standpoint, with BLM and other Department of Interiors is a lot of the post-fire rehab dollars for the land-based projects came through the fire budget.
Mhm.
And wondering out loud, and it's probably way too early to tell, is that money still gonna be available to the districts and the resource areas for the post-fire rehab? Or will somehow those dollars be eaten up in actual firefighting expenses, for lack of a better way to express it? And then we'll all have to struggle and figure out where the post-fire rehab dollars come from.
That's a great question. The National ESR group and staff are part of the new fire organization. So that direct connection chain of command no longer exists inside of BLM. That's one of, honestly, we'll fight fires and we'll put fires out, right? We know that. We're not concerned about that. It's those other pieces exactly like what you're talking about. Don't know, no information. Hopefully we can figure it out.
Well, if you weren't consulted, then you had no opportunity to provide that. Just saying.
So that's a Trump question.
Might be.
I was thinking that some years ago that they made firefighting its own deal and quit robbing all the other.
Yeah, Forest Service is what went through that with, every year come about August 1st, all the money got sucked out of programs.
Yeah.
To pay for firefight. BLM has never had that issue, because of the way our funding structure is. Who knows what'll happen under this new organization, how it will work. We just don't know. I encourage you all to, if you really want more information, is read more of the FY26 budget that passed the House and the specific language around the new fire organization and funding.
And what's that called, that new fire organization? Yeah.
U.S. Wildland Fire Service, not to be confused with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So now we have a USWFS, USFWS in the same department.
Okay, any more questions? Thank you.
You bet.
And we don't have anybody here from state parks, do we?
No, Chris couldn't make it today. I might note under sort of other agency stuff, Greg Jackal, thank you, is back at the Crook County Office of ODF and W as the district biologist. He was gone about 18 months on a assignment to do statewide sage grouse stuff. And he's now back as our district biologist, and he said he would try to make some of our meetings, so we'll probably start seeing Greg again. So.
Okay, we'll move on to next agenda is to review applications for our vacancies. We have 2 applicants and we'll discuss those in the order they're on the agenda. We'll starting with Andy Gall or Laura York.
And Laura's here.
Laura here.
Laura, if you wanna, Frank and Kim's spread a little bit, Laura will pull her chair up. To introduce Laura, Laura is currently working for Oregon Department of Forestry. Laura was actually one of the original appointees to this group back in 2018. But almost immediately after the county made those appointments, Oregon Department of Forestry told Laura she was going to get to spend the next 6 months, if I remember right, in Salem, dealing with budget. So she graciously had to resign because she didn't feel she could address the needs of the committee while being in Salem all the time. So kind of glad that you thought you had time now and were able to reapply. So you have everybody in their packet has a copy of her application and letters. So
That's a packet in here.
Steve, can you hand me that? So you remember at the December meeting, you wanted to invite the candidates to come and be able to talk to them. And so Laura was able to be here today.
Laura, or give you the floor to start with, if you'd like, if there's anything you want to add regarding your application, anything on here that we didn't leave you room to express, well, please go ahead.
Yeah, there wasn't much room on the application there to really expand. But I would like to say afternoon to everyone and thank you for inviting me. And I don't really have a whole lot more to add. I was able to kind of condense my experience and my interest in the space that was provided. I have 15 years of natural resource experience through my job at the Oregon Department of Forestry. And I feel like I could really add some value to the committee should I be selected to be on the committee. So I was disappointed that I had to get off of the committee originally, but I do have a lot more time, a lot more flexibility in my schedule. So I think I could definitely make this a priority.
I don't know if you know everyone on the committee, but I think
I know a few, but not everyone.
well, we should introduce ourselves as well. I'm Steve McGuire. Bill?
Melinda Kessler. Nice to meet you.
Melissa Somerset, I think we've met at a commission meeting once. We can vote. Nice to meet you.
Frank Freely.
Yes, and I think I've met you before.
Lynn Brees, and we've definitely met a lot of times.
Bill McCormick.
And Mike Lund.
Nice to meet you.
And Cliff Kaiser's on Zoom.
Hi, Laura.
He has RSV, so.
Okay, with that, then, open up the floor for the committee members. Anyone has a question for Laura, just please go right ahead.
What most intrigues you about the opportunities of this committee, the challenges and opportunities?
So what was the question?
So what most intrigues you?
Oh, about the challenges and opportunities. I really, after working in in a natural resource agency for 15 years, it kind of gets in your blood. And so, I mean, there's a lot of different aspects like the wild horses, the resiliency of the landscape, and forestry and fires and those kinds of things are really of interest to me. So one of the questions I was going to ask was, what do you foresee as some of the challenges that they're going to face over the next, say, 2 to 3 years?
Well, obviously, you were on the ground floor one here, all the changes with the federal government. The assignments and the delegation of responsibility. You can see they're not sure themselves yet how everything's gonna pan out. And I think that's gonna be one challenge for us. If we see something we want to change or affect change or have a voice in that, you know, what paths do we follow to achieve any goals we might establish? So we're gonna be as much in the dark as the government officials that are present, at least for a while. So until they give us further guidance. You can see he's laughing about that, but
And I think the state is in the same boat, you know,
Yeah.
with that, so,
you're probably somewhat familiar with that, having
yes.
worked in government agencies, so. In my mind, that's one of the biggest challenges we're gonna face. I don't know, does anybody have any input regarding it?
I have a question for you. So working in budget, you probably had input, whether on committees or whatever, on partnerships and how to manage budgets related to partnerships and that kind of thing. And I think that's gonna be one of the places where in the future, hopefully, there's a lot more cooperation between agencies and governments and organizations and that your expertise might be able to be
I
something that
definitely
would help.
had a lot of experience working with budgets and particularly, you know, with co-ops and grant money and that sort of thing, so we definitely have had some toe in the water.
Mhm.
so to speak.
Understanding those authorities and what can and can't happen and flexibility of them.
I have a question. Do you see where there be any conflict between state and federal?
I don't see any conflict because I'm not here representing the state.
Right.
I'm just here as an individual and I want to bring my experience, but not necessarily feeling like there's any kind of conflict between federal and the state.
Yeah, but as far as, knowledge and background and stuff, how they commingle or butt heads on regulations and so forth.
I think we always put heads on things like that.
I know.
But I don't really see that as a conflict because we always try to work with our partners and our cooperators and our fellow agencies. And so I just don't feel like that's gonna create a problem.
So is it gonna be a problem with, you're still working?
I am still working and no, I have a lot of leave time.
Oh, that's my next question.
Yeah, and my current supervisor is very supportive of me participating. Even though, like I said, I'm not here to represent the state of Oregon. I'm here as an individual and having an interest in natural resources.
You asked us about what we see in the future as the greatest challenge. Thinking about being a member of this committee, what do you foresee as being the biggest challenge and what would you propose as far as how you might approach resolving that challenge?
I can't, I'm not really sure I can answer that question. Since, I mean, I went back and I've read some of the minutes of the previous, meetings that you've had, but I don't really know all of the issues at hand. But I don't know, I feel like I have a voice. I could at least offer my opinion, my expertise, limited as it may be. But, yeah, I'm not sure without a specific issue how I could answer that question.
What natural resource is most important to you?
I would say the forests,
Okay.
I think are really important to me.
Okay.
And how do you rate or work with forest and rangeland? How do you combine the two?
Yeah, between the forest and the rangeland, because in our agency, there are two separate programs, but the rangeland has a completely different set of circumstances and requirements than the forests do, and so they're managed completely differently. And so, I work with both in my job, and I think that they're both important, and they both complement one another, you know, when it comes down to fires and just planning.
Anyone else have any questions? Comments?
Laura, so how familiar you are with the good neighbor policy, good neighbor authority?
I know a little about it. I mean, I don't work with it every day, but I know we have a group of people that do. We apply for grants through the Good Neighbor Authority and, you know, work with federal partners on projects. So that's, I guess, the extent of my knowledge there.
The reason I hope you'd have, and given who you work for, the opportunity to really dive into that one, because the forest, I think, is going to lean more on Department of Forestry in the future to get projects done through the Good Neighbor Authority. And so, you know, Robbie Slater, they talk about it all the time, but from a different perspective, I think it would be good to have, you know, sort of someone else that sort of knows the Good Neighbor Authority policies and procedures and how, because I think a lot of folks' interests are in, you know, good timber management, good land resource management, being able to get product out of the forest, those kind of things. And in my limited sort of observation of that particular program, ODF has been instrumental in helping the forest start to move projects because of staffing issues and contracting issues and some other kind of things that just flow better through ODF's expertise. So I know you don't work in that field, but just through osmosis, maybe.
Yeah, it's a very solid program, and we've got a lot of good dedicated people that work in that program. And if I were on the committee, I would definitely be interested in diving into that.
Great.
Because it's right there on the periphery, and we just need to reach out and grab it.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of more questions. I was just curious if you have any active subcommittees, that you're currently,
Not at present, no.
no, none,
We've had subcommittees, but we don't have one in right now.
none right now. Okay. And then, this may seem like an odd question, but I'm just curious about how some of these issues or things evolve. You know, is it the public coming in and presenting an issue? Is it the county commissioners saying, hey, can you look into this? I mean, how does the committee determine what issues are going to?
You know, just all the things you mentioned, we do have members of the public, come to our meetings occasionally, with an issue that they wish to discuss, present. This gentleman right here brings a lot of stuff to the committees. He's seems to be the main contact for a lot of people, but that's fine. We're open to whatever anybody wants to do. Personally, I've had interactions with members of the public away from this venue, and them knowing that I am a member of the Natural Resources Committee, they'll ask that I bring up a topic for discussion in the meeting. So that's another venue, another way the venue gets changed. Can be in short order, but you know, all of the things you mentioned, and we're open to all of those as well. Anybody else wanna?
Yeah, I think Steve's right. I mean, I can think back, you know, some of the original big issues. We dealt with some mining issues on the forest. That was an issue brought by citizens through a committee member, and made the committee aware of the issues, and then we spent some time with it. The the bicycle trail stuff up, Mill Creek, was a group of, well, it was the permittees, that had found out about it and sort of brought it to the committee and then the committee took it up. So, I think, the commissioners, they've a couple of times had topics they want us to delve into. The Big Summit Prairie might be an example of that. They kind of passed that to us. But yeah, I think the committee's always commented that they see these meetings as the public's opportunity to interact with our federal agency partners. And through this committee and that once a month interaction, topics, issues, those kind of things can come up and be discussed, and we won't get it all resolved in the 2 hours we usually allocate for ourselves, but that, we'll dive into the issue as deeply as necessary and as long as necessary. So I think that's where some of the subcommittees have gotten formed in the past, is when an issue really kind of needed more out of the meeting room address, the subcommittee would take that on.
There's been times when, there's been an issue that one of the land management agencies have brought, either at a national level or, at a local level, that the county commissioners have asked us to kind of, delve into it and develop, some recommendations, and so we've done that as well.
And I think one of the most important things that happens here is that communication from government agencies. Because when you leave this meeting, somebody will see something happening in the forest, on the grassland, somewhere. And, on the river, whatever, and they'll ask, do you know what's going on? And thank goodness that these people come and keep us up to speed. A lot of times we have answers for those folks that put out a lot of fires.
Literally.
You have anything else you'd like to share? Anyone else?
Linda has one.
Go ahead, Mel.
What do you feel is your field of expertise for this committee? That we should call on you.
I would say that I am very familiar with the Forest Practices Act. And so I think I bring, and when you ask what my focus was, it's forests. And so I really have a love of nature and trees, and so I think that is probably my strength, coupled with my experience with budget.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, in the interest of transparency, I'm gonna refer to Tim, question, shall we proceed with, voting on?
Yeah.
Laura's?
Well, so you can do that, or the other applicant is Andy Gallagher. Andy has served on this committee since its inception as well. Andy could not be here today, unfortunately. His schedule, he's with NRCS today discussing budgets. They have cooperative agreements with soil and water districts and NRCSs. So Andy's at that meeting today. He apologizes for not being here, but the reason I says, well, we're just going to proceed is, you all know Andy. You've been working with him on this committee, and I'm not sure that I made the assumption you would not have any sort of unknown sort of questions that you might ask Andy that you haven't already asked Andy in the last 8 years. So anyway, so those are the two candidates. You now are free to discuss as a committee those two candidates. At the end of that discussion, a motion to advance one or both of them to the county commission for they're the ones that actually make the appointments.
So we're lacking two, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
And we've had two apply.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion?
I figured it out.
Anybody have any concerns about Andy? We all know Andy.
I think the only thing, and I wrote one of his letters of recommendation, but I do know that Andy is pretty overwhelmed right now with the variety of programs that they're doing. So his time is becoming tighter and tighter, I think.
But his board of directors voted to have him reapply. So they think it's important that he devote time to this project.
Well, I feel good about both. I guess Andy's kind of a candidate, even though he's been here, and Laura, I'm very impressed with her. The information she provided and just being here in the room with her. So.
Anyone else?
I would agree, and I think too, Andy, even though he's spread thin, his input when he's here is extremely valuable. And his background is very valuable, so even though he might be stretched a little thin, I think it would be still very good to have him with us, so I would agree that we need both Laura and Andy.
I would make the motion that we approve both candidates and recommend them to the county commission to approve them to join the committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Lynn?
Right.
Frank?
Aye.
Aye. Cliff?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Welcome to the committee. If the commissioners say so, if they don't, we'll have a visit with the commissioners.
So that will probably go before them, not next Wednesday, but the first Wednesday of February. Their deadline for next week's agenda items has come and gone.
Yeah. Okay, that's completed. We'll go to good of the order. Anybody have anything for good of the order?
So I might, did someone have one?
You don't think so?
Okay, a couple of things, as we continue to evolve how we operate as a public meeting. Things just sort of, we keep tweaking them. If I tweak them too far and you start to feel uncomfortable, or you think something is getting left out, please do not hesitate to let me know. So what's different this time is that the packet of material you got is only a partial of the entire piece of the last meeting. The actual minutes with the PowerPoint presentations and the handouts from last month was 45 pages. So I chose not to print off all 45 pages 20 times and then throw most of them away. So all I printed this for us here today is the actual minutes that you approved, all the attachments. If you still want to see those, they're online. They're on the county's webpage. All you have to do is go to the December meeting and click on meeting details, and the full packet is there, all 45 pages of it. You'll also find the videos. All videos are now being posted. So these meetings again are being recorded. And that recording is now also on the county's YouTube page. So you can, if you want to see what the last 2 hours was like, then just go to YouTube and you can find that. So I think I'm gonna kind of continue to do that, just bring you the draft minutes of the actual meeting, not the attachments. Cause you can you had them last month, and then two, you download them electronically and maybe not print them at all. Next month's meeting, you have the choice to either cancel it or move it back a week. I have to be in Washington, DC the second week of February, which is our normal monthly meeting. that would be February. It would have been February 11th. If you still want to have a February meeting, it would be scheduled for the 18th, the third Wednesday of the month. And instead of being here, it will be in the 4-H Clover building because this room is not available on the 18th of February. So it would be a change of date and a change of venue if you want to have a February meeting. Otherwise, we'll just not hold a February meeting and we'll meet the second Wednesday of March.
I would propose that we don't have a February meeting unless there's something overwhelmingly needed as far as an agenda item.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
So I'll wait for a second.
Second.
Um,
Got a motion and a second to postpone.
yeah, so under discussion.
Or cancel. Yeah.
To
No
cancel.
discussion.
Gosh, what was I gonna say?
There must be something.
It seemed so important. Oh, yeah. So with that, in your bylaws, February is the month of elections where you appoint for a year a new chair and vice chair. And so by moving the meeting, if you choose to move forward, those elections would be held in March. I just wanted to make sure that we do recognize that the bylaws call for elections in February but honestly, I can't see a reason to get together for 10 minutes just to have elections if that's the only agenda item. So would be my recommendation to hold the elections.
Anybody have a problem with that? Hold the elections in March?
No, and I think that would be nice if we have 2 new members, they'll have a little more time to get acquainted before that vote happens to participate too.
Okay.
And the March meeting would be back here. We're back in this room in March.
Do we need a motion for that? Okay. Well, we do have a motion on the floor to cancel the February meeting.
Who made the second?
I did, but
Callista. All those in favor, Mike? Bill? Lynn? Frank?
I
Aye.
Mel? Aye.
You get to vote yet?
I don't think so. Don't.
You don't-
wait till the end.
Cliff? You still there, Cliff?
Yep, he's still there.
Yeah, I just had to unmute. Aye.
Okay, anyone else have anything for good of the order? Any public comment? Please state your name if you would.
I will, for your record. Jody Schiffman, I'm one of 2 co-coordinators for Oregon Living with Fire. And Tim is on my steering committee, as one of the appointees by the county commissioners. So just wanted to say Happy New Year and let you know a couple of updates for us with Oregon Living with Fire. Dr. Jennifer Fenton out of Klamath Falls, the other co-coordinator, is still available. Her little one turned 1 year old, so she's getting more sleep and picking up work again on grant writing and is available if you know of any landowners or agencies or nonprofits that need funding for wildfire mitigation projects. If it falls under fire adapted communities, resilient landscape, or safe, effective wildfire response, she's available for that to provide assistance in going after funds for people. The other piece I wanted to update you on with regard to the new fire service, that one's close to my heart because when I'm not doing this, I go out on fires as a public information officer, but I got the secretarial order 3448 that came out 2 days ago. It's 5 pages long, that it helps explain kind of what's going on and what the next few months will look like. I can send that to Tim to forward to you if you'd like to read it. It's interesting. Chief Fennessy, for as much weirdness as has gone on in creating this, I've worked with him for a number of years. on the Wildland Fire Policy Committee with the International Association of Fire Chiefs, and really respect him. Have also seen him in action on fires. So while he's been thrown into a really bizarre, unique situation, I'm glad that it's him there for now as he's sort of building the plane as it's taking off, it seems like. Yeah, it's gonna be a weird year. But I'd also be curious, the Forest Service not joining that organization because that does take an act of Congress. So, but as we know, sometimes an act of Congress doesn't always happen for things to change. So we're all watching that really closely in the fire service for sure. I know I get to work with this guy in the fire season and appreciate the Forest Service partners still engaging on that. For us, with Oregon Living with Fire, helping people learn to live, and in the natural resources world, we're doing a lot of connecting, now that the administration has sort of settled some dust. We're back to meeting, with our federal agencies and partners. So we have some upcoming workshops I wanted to just tell you about, not that you have to attend. But there are a lot of people coming together in early March at Skamania Lodge for adapting together and learning how to put best practices and latest science into practical applications on our landscapes here locally. So that's something that we'll be participating in, Jennifer and myself. Then at the end of March is the Wildland Urban Interface, or WUI for short, conference in Reno, Nevada. And a lot of us get together there, again, federal, state, local levels, to have a networking opportunity and a lot of learning and workshops to meet with people where we start sort of tackling that problem at the national level and then down to the local level. So that's at the end of March. And then as we look into the spring, I am proud to say we're bringing back the Central Oregon Treks, which is a prescribed fire training exchange that the Nature Conservancy, OSU Extension, and the Forest Service put on together over in Rock Springs Ranch near Tumalo. And we'll have crews and be training people across the disciplines for fire practitioners to put prescribed fire on the ground the first 2 weeks of May. Before that, I'm working with Amber Blanchard to schedule a wildfire preparedness fair here in Prineville sometime in April. So once we lock in on that, I will let you all know when that is. So obviously my lens is fire and everything fire related. So just wanted you to know some of those things coming up in the spring, make sure I'm not missing anything that we've got going. And then talking to Isabella and working with her for times when our federal partners can't be or are held back from certain things in their communications and outreach and engagement. That's where as a partner organization, I'll be helping with some of that, because we can act independently and still get some of that core messaging out for how to have those resilient landscapes and some of the good work that our federal agencies and state agencies are doing, obviously here in Crook County with a lot of your input. So that's all. Just wanted to give you a quick update kind of on what we've got going on. Looking forward to 2026. It's going to be an interesting year. That's it.
Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Jody?
Yeah.
Related to your Trex programming later, I ran across an article today that in 2024, the state legislature passed a certified burn program. Burn manager, thank you. So that private landowners who want to start using prescribed fire, either they and or individuals who carry this certificate can become, I'll use the word burn boss because that's the easiest word for me to remember, to assist those landowners or groups of landowners in conducting a prescribed fire. It sounded like in reading the article, for us in this part of the world, Eastern Oregon, there are very few currently certified burn managers. The only one that the article made mention of was the Soil and Water District manager in Wheeler County. And Wheeler County SWCD was getting ready to hold a 3-day training session for anyone who wanted to become a certified burn manager. So my question to you is, in this Trex program, do you guys also, if you were to, it's only a 24-hour training, your 2 weeks training is well beyond the 24 hours. But if someone attended your Trex and wanted, do you think your program would be able to offer that certificate as a part to the participants that qualify? I don't know what your curriculum is. I don't know what the curriculum for the certified burn program is, but there might be an opportunity to get a double whammy by going to yours if.
That's a great question. And actually they did get a few more, certified burn managers. Thank you for bringing that up. We have a brand new prescribed burn. It's called Cooperative, sometimes known as Prescribed Burn Association, that started, I'll have to get their website because I think it's, Central Oregon. Oh, I'm gonna mess it up. PBC is, the acronym, but it's, they did get some people signed off this last year. So there are some more certified burn managers in the area that are now qualified for that $1 million liability policy through the state and can burn on private property. So with that, yes, through our program, that's an offshoot of it through typically that association and through the Oregon Department of Forestry. So that's being headed locally by Ariel Cowan with OSU Extension. And then the other person is Eric Metzger, Oregon Department of Forestry. And I don't think Richard is allowed to be through the Forest Service, but he's a Forest Service employee, so in his free time. So those individuals are heading that up, and they are doing some trainings as needed for folks that want to become certified burn managers. So
the article did it.
Yeah.
The article did talk about the co-ops, which made me automatically go to our rangeland fire protection associations.
Yes.
And not only sort of loosely being involved with them anymore, I've never heard any of them talk about this program. So again, I wonder if in our rangeland fire protection associations, there aren't now training opportunities, because the originally one that the Brothers Polina, the only reason Brothers Polina Rangeland Fire Protection Association got created was because the landowners within that group wanted to start doing prescribed fire, but they didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the training. And so through the partnerships with ODF, being able to get surplus equipment and some training, they always hoped to be able to use prescribed fire as a tool.
Absolutely.
And I just wonder, again, I'm thinking out loud, I just wonder if this group that's doing these trainings has even talked to Rangeland Fire Protection Associations and told them about this training learning opportunity to.
That's a good question. That's a Chase Duncan Don Shida. So I will circle back with both of them and ask.
Cause they have a annual meeting in Burns. That's first week in April. All the Rangeland Fire Protection
Yeah.
Associations get together.
I know that Heather Miller with the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office, so she's the chairperson for the Central Oregon Fire Prevention Cooperative, which I'm the secretary of. And so we meet with all the fire prevention folks from all those agencies as well. And the RFPAs are represented through Dawn. So I know, and she's going to more of their meetings. And I will include Heather Miller so that we get coverage through the RFPAs.
It's just a potential audience.
That would be fantastic, because we are trying to get more people just comfortable with lighting, even just pile burning. Some people just aren't comfortable with that, so.
Yeah.
And some of those demonstrations would be fantastic. Trying to get more on private lands. Well, And are there any specific RFPAs that you can think of that you'd want?
Well, we have two in Crook County. We have Brothers Lapine, or Brothers Paulina, Brothers Milliken, Hampton, Brothers Hampton, Brothers Hampton. Geez, I'm all over the board. It's Brothers Hampton and then, Post Paulina.
Yeah.
Jeez, give me a drink.
How long you lived?
It's complicated. I turned 67 not long ago. It's Alzheimer's setting in.
So I have a question. So are there grants then for these burn managers to put fire in on private property?
There are some. There are some, yep, and there's different grants, and this is where I don't want to get out of my lane, because that's Jennifer knows, part of her job is to, she has programs that scour the internet for what could be applicable for a private landowner to get work done. And she's connected to all those funding opportunities. And so, she's the one that really knows if someone's got, junipers that need removed, or you've got tiles that need to be burned, or you're wanting to create a defensible space, or you're wanting to create, take care of some small forest land. That's her world that I don't have all the information. So I would connect you with her and have her track down kind of what might be the best fit, either as a landowner or as an organization. So she does.
Yeah, her contact information.
I do. It is her full name, JENNIFENTON, the number 5 at yahoo.com. And then I can give you her phone number as well. It is 541-281-7092. Yeah.
And she's located.
She lives in Klamath Falls. So we cover Crook, Deschutes, Jefferson, and that northern part of Klamath County that goes sort of down into, Chemult area, Gilchrist. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And then Steve, I had one that I forgot to mention when, Tim was talking about how we're changing the way that we do meetings. I really appreciate getting the, agency, I think they do a write-up every time,
Forest Service does.
only the Forest Service. I may be the only one who likes to get it hard copy, and if I am, I'm happy to.
And there was not one for this month, Isabel's.
I do appreciate having them hard copy only because, I often look back at them. Okay, thank you, Slade.
I'm pretty one off. I thought Isabella sent out the one because I think she had said something to somebody that we hadn't that didn't have many changes or something like that.
Oh,
There were no changes.
So-
That's the exact same one.
Yeah, you had last month, so, but it is a hard copy.
Okay, well.
but in the future, for that meeting, so if, and I may have missed Isabella's email, but if she sends me one for this meeting, I print it off and you get it that day. It's
Okay, so that
only
was-
when you get the draft minutes next month
Yes,
that you're not gonna get it again.
that's great. I only want it once. I just want to make sure I got it because I use it. And I don't have a printer at home. I hate to admit that out loud.
No, you'll still get it. And the BLM sometimes brings one the day of the meeting.
Yes, I know they often
Yeah.
do, yeah. Okay, thank you. That was the only concern I had about that change in the way we do meetings.
Okay, back to public comment. Any further public comment?
Let me ask one more question, Tim, and maybe do you know why they're not burning the piles up here across from the airport? I see
Been
they
meaning
burn.
to ask my son that, and I keep forgetting to ask, but they torched inadvertently a couple of them off this summer and they started leaping from pile to pile and they thought they were gonna have a huge wreck.
That what-
So I expect they too are waiting like Slater for some more precip.
Well,
Cause those are big piles and they're gonna burn really,
Oh, yeah.
really hot.
yeah,
You'll probably feel them at your house.
well, they got that process where they're spending a month getting rid of a pile by burning them in them little green things, if you know.
Oh, that, yeah,
That's what
what do
they're
they call
doing.
those?
But it'd be a hell of a lot,
Curtain burn.
Curtains, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it'd be a whole lot more reasonable than just burning them.
Yeah, they make larger versions, but the portable ones are pretty small
Yeah,
and they don't generate the black smoke like if they just lit it on fire.
right,
So
true.
less public outcry.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, next time I see my son, I'll ask him if,
yeah, okay.
They better be careful though.
well, they also have to get permits from DEQ before they light them off, so,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
I have something I wanna share with the group, and it's
Oh, okay.
kind of natural resource oriented, but it's one of these spooky deals, and Tim may have seen it on Facebook, but so Sunday morning after church, I was walking my dog up my driveway, and I do it probably 3 times a day, every day. And so we were walking up through there, and I looked down beside the driveway, and there's this rock about this big around, and when I picked it up, it probably weighs 25 to 30 pounds, real solid lava. And it was sitting next to a hole that perfectly fit the rock. And something lifted that rock straight up and set it there. There's no edge punctures, no prying, no digging. And I don't know what the hell to do about it. I've never seen anything like it.
So there's no tunnel underneath the hole where the rock was?
Huh?
There's no tunnel underneath the hole where the rock was?
You mean like a critter pushed it up?
Yeah.
No,
It's a big rock. I saw the picture.
I've got a picture if anybody wants to see it.
It's a big rock.
Aliens.
Aliens.
Aliens,
I'm sorry?
aliens.
Well, that was my first thought. Somebody said Sasquatch, and I thought, well, it's kind of hot country for
Oh, he had
Sasquatch.
left footprints.
But there's nothing disturbed, there's no, I put a game camera up, to see if I could see anything moving around my driveway, but just, you see that, you think, okay, if that's what I think, somebody lifted it straight up out of that hole, well, it wasn't a hole, it was embedded in that rock, probably been there 50 or 100
What
years.
was it embedded in?
Just
Just the soil?
soil,
Yeah, but half the rock was probably underground.
yeah, and the rock was probably that tall and half of it was underground, out here.
So was it picked up and moved from the?
It was just picked up and set beside the hole.
We need to have a field trip.
Yeah.
Frosty.
Yeah, frost heave, a real big frost, except we haven't been that cold yet.
And there's no evidence that anybody hooked it with like tongs or anything like that, and lifted it up.
Looks like it's flipped out.
Bizarre.
No.
And you walk
it
by
was-
this
it
every
was
day?
Picked up straight and set down. What?
You walk by it every day, Mike, you said?
Yeah, a lot, 3 or 4 times. And it's not like it could have happened,
Oh, wow.
a month ago or something.
So are you carrying a sidearm now?
That was the first thing I did. I went in and cleaned the pistol, reloaded it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, has anybody ever seen anything like that?
Wow. I've done it on purpose.
Seen those pictures of the rocks that move
Oh, yeah.
across the
Desert.
salt flats.
The salt flats, yeah. I've seen them move the trail.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you got a trail camera
Yeah,
on it?
yeah, I put it up already.
Yeah, see who puts it back.
Well, I put it back, so.
Well, yeah, if you put it back, somebody will come move it again.
That was my thought, I was gonna bait it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
These are the things we talk about.
Okay.
So I do have a recommendation.
Go ahead.
That that when we're in this room, if you and Tim can be at the end so that you can see, everybody can see you versus half the room looking at your back.
I understand. Okay,
It works unless we're projecting something on the screen.
okay,
Okay, motion to adjourn?
yeah, I think we had one in a second, didn't we?
I didn't get it recorded. Who made it?
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Second? Second. Mike?
Aye.
Lynn?
All in favor, stand up.
I take that as an aye. Aye,
Cook's gone.
it's gone, okay,
That's it.
we're adjourned.